The day I sold my invisible company for $4.7 billion was the same day my brother stood on stage at Tech Future announcing his revolutionary algorithm to the world. As his standing ovation echoed through the convention center, my phone buzzed with the final confirmation from my lawyers. The irony wasn't lost on me. While Jason basked in applause for an algorithm that would never work, I had just become one of the richest women in tech for an algorithm that already did. Not that anyone knew I was behind it. My name is Deanna Chin, and for the past 6 years, I've been the invisible architect behind Nexus Intelligence, the most advanced predictive analytics platform in existence. A platform that every major tech company had been trying to reverse engineer without success. A platform that, until today, had no public founder. I sipped my champagne from the back of the auditorium, watching my brother gesture dramatically on stage. Jason had always been the face of our family's tech ambitions. Charismatic, handsome, and utterly confident despite his mediocre coding skills. I've been the quiet one, the support system, as our parents called it. Imagine an algorithm so intuitive it can predict market shifts 3 months in advance with 97% accuracy. Jason proclaimed to the crowd of investors and tech journalists. That's what Chin Dynamics has created. No, that's what I had created 6 years ago, and sold this morning to Geneva Global for a sum that made me nauseous every time I thought about it. As Jason's presentation reached its climax, promising impossible results from hypothetical technology, I slipped out a side door. The text from Geneva's CEO was succinct: transfer complete. Board meeting Monday. Your choice whether to attend in person. For 6 years, I had operated Nexus Intelligence through a maze of shell companies and digital proxies. I coded during sleepless nights, built server farms in anonymous warehouses, and hired remote teams who never knew who signed their paychecks. All while maintaining my public persona as a mid-level developer at a mediocre startup, listening to my brother and parents lament that I lacked ambition. The charade had begun as a necessity. 6 years ago, I pitched my algorithm concept to Chen Ventures, my family's investment firm. Jason, freshly appointed as CEO despite having 3 years less experience than me, had led the rejection. It's derivative, he denounced to the board, most of whom were family friends who'd watched us grow up. Diana has always been talented, but this lacks vision. My parents had nodded sagely. After all, Jason had the Stanford MBA and the TED Talk. I merely had the double PhD in applied mathematics and computer science from MIT. That night, instead of accepting defeat, I made a decision that changed everything. If my family couldn't see my vision, I would build it without them and without anyone knowing I was behind it. Nexus started small, just me, my savings, and a relentless work schedule. I created a fictional founder, Alex Gray, complete with a shadowy backstory as a reclusive genius. I hired remote developers using Alex's identity, each working on isolated components so no one could grasp the full architecture. I set up secure servers in 3 countries, and I kept showing up to my day job, listening to industry gossip about the mysterious Nexus Intelligence that was outperforming every competitor. The tech world became obsessed with Alex Gray. Who was this unknown savant? How had they developed an algorithm that could predict consumer behavior, market trends, and optimization pathways with unprecedented accuracy? The mystery only enhanced Nexus's value. Meanwhile, Chen Dynamics, my family's company with Jason at the helm, struggled to compete. Their products were always a step behind, their predictions less accurate. Jason became increasingly fixated on uncovering Nexus's secrets, never suspecting that the architect of his frustration ate Sunday dinners at their parents' house each week. "Diana, you're late." My mother's voice cut through my thoughts as I entered the VIP reception following Jason's keynote. The family was gathered in a private corner, champagne flutes in hand, celebrating Jason's moment of triumph. "Sorry, work call," I replied, accepting a glass from a passing server. My father frowned. "Still at that startup? What's it called again?" TechCore Solutions. I supplied the name of my cover job, the mediocre firm where I pretended to work while actually running Nexus. Someone has to pay the rent. Jason joined us, surrounded by admirers and flush with success. "Deanna, did you catch the presentation?" "Wouldn't miss it," I smiled. "Especially the part about 97% prediction accuracy 3 months out. That's quite a claim." His smile faltered slightly. We're still fine-tuning, but the preliminary results are promising. I'm sure they are. I took another sip of champagne, enjoying the moment more than I should. By Monday, the tech world would know that Alex Gray had sold Nexus to Geneva Global. By Tuesday, analysts would realize that Jason's promise algorithm couldn't possibly compete with what Geneva now owned. Have you considered a change? Jason asked, his tone carrying that familiar mix of condescension and forced concern. Tech Core is a dead end. I could find you something at Chen Dynamics. Junior development team maybe? Our mother brightened. That would be wonderful, the family working together again. I checked my watch. In approximately 14 hours, my face would be on the front page of every tech publication in the world. Geneva's announcement would reveal that Alex Gray was actually Deanna Chen, and that I would be joining their executive team as Chief Innovation Officer with a compensation package that dwarfed Jason's entire net worth. I appreciate the offer, I said carefully, but I think I'm about to come into some new opportunities. The reception droned on, a parade of investors and journalists congratulating Jason on technology that existed only in PowerPoint slides. I made the expected small talk, dodged questions about my career, and counted down the minutes until I could escape. My phone buzzed again. Eliza, my right-hand developer who had been the only person at Nexus to know my true identity. Have you told them yet? Her text read. Tomorrow, I replied. Let them have tonight. Around midnight, as the reception wound down, my father pulled me aside. Deanna, your mother and I are concerned. You're 32, working at a company going nowhere. Jason offered you a lifeline tonight. You should take it. For a moment, I considered telling him everything. That for 6 years I'd been building what would become a multi-billion-dollar company. That tomorrow, his underachieving daughter would be revealed as one of the most innovative minds in tech. That the mysterious Alex Gray, who had dominated industry discussions, had been sitting at his dinner table all along. Instead, I just smiled. I'll think about it, Dad. Back in my apartment, modest by San Francisco standards, maintained as part of my cover, I opened my laptop to review Geneva's announcement one last time. The press release was scheduled for 9 a.m. Eastern, with my official introduction as CIO to follow in a video conference at noon. After 6 years of shadows, I was stepping into the light. Morning arrived with a flurry of texts and missed calls. The announcement had dropped, and the tech world was in an uproar. Alex Gray revealed as Deanna Chen, Nexus Intelligence acquired by Geneva Global. The architect behind the most advanced predictive algorithm in the world had been hiding in plain sight. My phone displayed 17 missed calls from Jason, 12 from my parents, and 1 from my former boss at TechCore. Presumably wondering why his unremarkable developer was suddenly tech's biggest story. I ignored them all and dressed carefully for the video conference. Eliza had insisted I upgrade my wardrobe weeks ago in preparation for today. As I buttoned my designer blazer, my doorbell rang insistently. Jason stood in the hallway, still wearing last night's rumpled suit, his expression a mix of shock and betrayal. Is it true? He demanded, pushing past me into the apartment. Good morning to you too, I replied, closing the door. Answer me, Deanna. Are you Alex Gray? Did you sell Nexus to Geneva? I gestured to the Financial Times open on my coffee table, where my photograph appeared above the headline. Net ex-US Mystery Sold LVD. Diana CHENREVALD STCH's MOST elusive FOUNDER. It's true, I confirmed. How? He collapsed onto my sofa. How did you build Nexus without anyone knowing? Why didn't you tell us? I raised an eyebrow. Why didn't I tell the family who rejected my algorithm, who has spent 6 years dismissing me as unmotivated and unambitious? That family? We were trying to help you, he protested. We wanted you to succeed. No, I corrected him, you wanted me to succeed on your terms, following your path, supporting your vision. Jason ran his hands through his hair, his keynote confidence nowhere to be found. Does Dad know? He will soon. I'm sure he's seen the news. As if on cue, my phone rang, my parents. I let it go to voicemail. Diana, do you realize what you've done? Jason's voice had shifted from shock to something darker. Chen Dynamics has been developing competing technology. We just announced it yesterday. No, You announced vaporware yesterday, an algorithm that doesn't exist. Because you wouldn't share Nexus with your own family, his voice rose. We could have developed it together, kept it in the family. Instead, you sold to Geneva, our biggest competitor. I checked my watch. The video conference was in 30 minutes. I pitched it to the family first, remember? Derivative, you called it. Lacks vision. That was 6 years ago. We were different people then. Yes, we were. I was naive enough to think my work would be judged on its merits, not on whether I had the right pedigree or charisma to present it. I gathered my laptop and notes. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a board meeting to attend. He stood, blocking my path. This isn't over, Diana. Chen Dynamics won't go down without a fight. There is no fight, Jason. Geneva now owns the technology that you've been trying to replicate for years. By this time next quarter, your investors will realize you can't deliver what you promised yesterday. I moved past him to the door. Now I really have to go. To your new corner office, he sneered. Is that what this was all about? The money? The title? I paused, hand on the doorknob. No, Jason. It was about building something extraordinary without having to perform or persuade or play the game. It was about the work speaking for itself. I opened the door. The fact that the work is worth $4.7 billion is just a nice bonus. The Geneva board meeting was surreal. Faces I'd only seen in business magazines now nodding respectfully as I outlined my vision for Nexus's future. The CEO, Sandra Reeves, introduced me as the true innovator of our generation, a phrase that would have seemed laughable 24 hours earlier. Afterward, as I returned to my apartment to pack, Geneva had arranged a penthouse overlooking the bay. I found my parents waiting in the lobby. My mother stepped forward first, eyes red-rimmed. Why, Deanna? Why the secrecy? We're family. That's exactly why, I replied, leading them to a quiet corner. I needed to prove I could do this on my own terms. By humiliating your brother. My father's voice was tight. His investors are panicking. The board is calling for an emergency meeting. I didn't plan this to hurt Jason, I said truthfully. The timing was Geneva's decision, not mine. But you must have known what would happen. Yesterday was the biggest day of his career, and you let him go through with it knowing his technology was obsolete before he even announced it. I considered my father's words. Had I wanted Jason to have his moment of glory before reality came crashing down? Perhaps. 6 years of being overlooked had left marks I hadn't fully acknowledged. I'm sorry it played out this way, I said finally. But I'm not sorry for what I built. My mother wiped her eyes. All this time pretending to be someone you're not. I wasn't pretending, Mom. I was protecting my work from exactly the kind of judgment that's happening right now, where my family is more concerned about how this affects Jason and celebrating what I've achieved. As harsh as it sounded, the truth hung between us. In their eyes, my success would always be viewed through the lens of how it impacted the family reputation and Jason's career. We need to discuss damage control, my father said. A family statement, perhaps. Frame this as a collaborative effort that. No, I interrupted firmly. There will be no reframing. Nexus is mine. I built it. I sold it. And now I'm going to lead its next phase at Geneva. So that's it. My mother's voice broke. You're choosing this company over your family? I'm choosing my truth, I corrected her. And my future. The transition to Geneva happened quickly. Within weeks, I had moved into my new office and apartment, begun integrating Nexus technology into Geneva's platform, and assembled a dream team of developers who now knew exactly who they were working for. Jason resigned from Chen Dynamics after their stock plummeted following the revelation that their promised algorithm was years behind what Geneva now owned. My parents gave a strained interview to Tech Insider, claiming they had always known Diana had something special in development, but respecting my wish for independence. 6 months later, as Nexus-enhanced Geneva products dominated the market, I received an unexpected visitor at my office. Jason looked different, humbler, less polished, with the beginnings of a beard and casual clothes replacing his usual bespoke suits. Nice view, he said, gesturing to the panoramic windows overlooking the bay. It's not bad, I agreed, watching him carefully. What brings you here, Jason? He handed me a thumb drive. I've been working on something, not competing with Nexus. I learned that lesson. Something different. Complimentary even. I'd like your opinion. My opinion? I couldn't keep the surprise from my voice. Since when do you value my opinion? He sat down heavily in the chair opposite my desk. Since I spent 6 months rebuilding my life after my little sister revealed herself as the tech genius our family never recognized. He met my eyes. I've had to do a lot of thinking about why I never saw what was right in front of me. I turned the thumb drive over in my hand. And what conclusion did you reach? That I was so busy being Jason Chen, wonderkind and family golden child, that I couldn't see past my own reflection. He gestured to the drive. There's no pitch deck on there, no fancy graphics. Just code. Good code, I think. Maybe even great code. But I'd like someone I trust to tell me the truth. And that's me. After everything. Especially after everything. He stood to leave. You're the only person I know who has never been impressed by the Chen name, the family connections, or the charm offensive. You just see the work. After he left, I plugged in the drive, expecting to find another half-baked concept wrapped in marketing language. Instead, I discovered something genuinely innovative, a security framework that could complement Nexus's predictive capabilities in unexpected ways. That night, I called Jason for the first time since the Geneva announcement. It's good, I told him without preamble. Really good. Have you shown it to anyone else? No, his voice carried a new caution. I wanted your verdict first. Smart move. We should talk about it. Properly. A pause. We? Geneva is always looking for new security solutions, I said carefully. If you're open to it, I could arrange a meeting. No promises, but they'll give it a fair evaluation. Another longer pause. Thank you, Diana. 2 weeks later, Jason presented his security framework to Geneva's development team, not as the charismatic scion of a tech family, but as a developer with solid code and thoughtful answers to technical questions. When they offered him a consulting contract, the relief and pride on his face reminded me of the brother I'd looked up to before family expectations had come between us. At dinner afterward, just the two of us at a quiet restaurant overlooking the water, Jason raised his glass. To new beginnings. I clinked my glass against his, and to seeing what's really there, not what we expect to see. He nodded, understanding the layers in my toast. I've been thinking about what you said, about building something extraordinary without having to perform or persuade. I never realized how exhausting it was always being on stage. And I never realized how exhausting it was always being in the shadows, I admitted. Turns out neither extreme was sustainable. So what now? You're the visible genius and I'm the one starting over, Jason said, swirling his wine thoughtfully. I considered his words carefully. Maybe we both needed this reset. You to build something authentic without the family name opening doors, and me to stop hiding my light. The truth is, neither path was healthy. I reached across the table, taking my brother's hand in a gesture that would have been unthinkable 6 months ago. Geneva's security division could use someone with your perspective. Not as Diana Chen's brother, but as a developer with genuine talent who took a humbling fall and built something better from the ruins. Our eyes met with new understanding as the sun set over the bay, casting everything in transformative golden light. The algorithm that matters most isn't predictive technology, I said softly. It's learning to recalculate when life changes the variables. And I think we're both finally getting better at that. Jason smiled, not his practiced keynote smile, but something real and a little broken and infinitely more valuable. To recalculating, he said, raising his glass once more. And as we clinked glasses again, I realized that my greatest achievement wasn't selling an invisible company for billions or finally stepping into the spotlight. It was finding a way back to the truth between us after years of operating from different codes.